Good morrow, my lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard. I'm Laura, and this is a Storytime video. As was said in my intro, this is a Storytime video. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about how my best friend is Peter Pan. So, without further delay, let's get started. So first off, no, I haven't lost my mind. Yes, I know exactly what I just said, but it's okay. Just stick with me and it'll all make sense. Let's roll back the clock. I was about 21 years old, because that's about the time that I got my driver's license. And I had just gotten my driver's license when this story occurred. So as some of you know, I dabbled in photography for many years. Still kinda do, but not as much. And I used to do fairy tale themed photo shoots. Do you see where I'm going here? This time I did a fairy tale themed photo shoot themed around Peter Pan. It was called The Decay of Neverland, because not only did I do fairy tale and storybook kind of photo shoots, but they usually had a dark twist. I got a bunch of models together and was like, I want to do this shoot. Most of my models had become really close friends at the time, and we all just kind of got together and a bunch of us decided to get into one car to go to the location. My car, the car that I was comfortable driving, was not big enough for everyone and this giant tote that we had, because we had a tote full of props and my equipment, and it was not big enough. I had my grandfather's white Oldsmobile. I decided to take this giant boat of a car because everyone would fit in it. Let me go through this little cast list for you. There was me, the driver. Then my best friend, dressed like, you guessed it, Peter Pan. In the back seat, there was Captain Hook, Tiger Lily, and a mermaid. And for the most part, everyone was in costume. So here we go, piling into this big car that I learned to drive in this car, but I hadn't really driven it since because it was really difficult to drive this car. So I had been driving a tiny little red car, and I'm back in a big old boat. I did fine. I did absolutely fine. Going through town, going up the mountain. Our destination, by the way, was a lagoon at the end of a waterfall. I'll pop in some pictures as I speak so that you know what I'm talking about. Destination was a lagoon, like Mermaid Lagoon. So I had no trouble going up the mountain. I had no trouble at all. But there was this one stretch of road that I just absolutely could not figure out in time. So I was driving along, tried my best, both hands on the wheels, just doing the best I could with this boat. And we were all talking, having fun, conversations were happening. Don't remember any of it because this happened. We came to a part in the road where the road goes like this in a curve, and then there's another road that goes off to the side kind of straight. And it looks like you would continue to go straight instead of continue to curve with the road. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should go left or right, so I went straight down the middle. I couldn't figure it out. My brain could not compute, and this was before my concussion, mind you, but I could not figure out which way to go. I didn't know if I should go left or right, so I went straight down the middle. And the car went straight down into that divot against the embankment. So we kind of hit the ditch part really quick and really hard, and it kind of messed up the axle. That's the only damage done to the car, was a bent axle. And it wasn't even like completely bent. It was just like just enough that we couldn't do anything. Best friend takes action. Peter Pan jumps out of the car and is like, is everyone okay? The mermaid, the lovely Miss Caroline, had a seatbelt burn because, of course, we all wore our seatbelts. That's important. I still am a stickler for following road rules. Like, I go the speed limit, I have seatbelts on at all times, I drive 10 and 2, but this time I just kind of did the wrong thing. So she had a seatbelt burn. The Tiger Lily had a cut on her neck from the impact of a Bible that was in the back windshield. So when we hit, it was like slamming on the brakes, and it went, and the Bible went choo right to her neck. But the reason that I impacted so hard that it bent the axle was that I didn't really brake. I know, everyone's gonna be like, what? You didn't put on your brakes once you realized you weren't on a road anymore? I didn't. And it's because I had heard that if you lose control of the car, to just let it spin. But that's if you're on ice. But tiny little minuscule in comparison to big accidents aside, everyone was okay. That's the main point here. Everyone was alright and still willing to do the photo shoot. So Peter Pan's already outside of the car. We all get out of the car. We try to assess the situation. Captain Hook's having a panic attack. Peter Pan's trying to figure out something to do, trying to figure out if we can get into the driver's seat and move the car, which he did attempt to do, and it just wasn't moving because it was in mud. Or at least we thought the mud was the only reason. I think it was the mud and the axle. But anyway, this woman drives past and she shouts, "Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "Sure, we're fine." And she keeps going. And then a fireman in his personal vehicle comes by and he checks on us. And he stops in the road and he's like, "Are you guys okay?" And he gives us time to explain the situation. We just drifted off the road and we need some help moving the vehicle backwards off, can drive it to the nearest service station. He was like, "I got you, got a chain in the back, and there's a service station down the road." So he hooked up his chain, he moved the car, Peter Pan gets into the driver's seat, and we drive on down the road. We drive down the road to a service station. We drive down the road to the service station, and we park the car, and we leave the key underneath the mat. The fireman said that he was going to contact the service station owner, which he knew, and tell him what happened. We were just going to leave the key under the mat in case he needed to move it. So he was like, "So where were you guys headed? Do you have a ride there? What's going on?" We said we were meeting friends and other people at Hanging Rock, which is the location we were going to. And he was like, "Oh, well, I've got room if you guys want to pile in the back of the truck," because he had one of those cab trucks that has a back seat. He was like, "If you guys want to pile in the back, put your trunk in the bed, I'll carry you up there as long as you have a ride back." We were like, "Yeah, we'll totally have a ride back as long as you can get to us." Because our friend Michelle was going to show up later, she just had earlier engagements, so she couldn't make it to ride with us. So we knew 100% we were going to have a ride. Our friend Carrie was there as well, so we definitely had a way back. We just didn't have a way to get there because of the car. So we all pile into the fireman's car, and he takes us up to the entrance to where the waterfall is, thinking everything is fine. So in order to get down to the waterfall, there are a lot of steps. You have to take a bit of a hike, and then you get to all of these wooden steps. I'd say about 4 stories worth of stairs. And they're all wooden, and they're built up on the side of the mountain. So you have to go down the side of the mountain, down to the waterfall, and the waterfall empties out into a lagoon. I'll pop in some pictures from the photo shoot here, just so you can get an idea. So we were down in that general area, really far down. It takes a while to get back up, because going up is a lot harder than going down. So sadly, in the middle of the photo shoot, it starts to rain. We get everything together, we put the lid on the tote, we put all of my equipment inside of the tote wrapped up so that no water will reach it, because like I've said before, I'm really paranoid about my equipment getting wet because it's happened before. But anyway, we all tuck ourselves underneath this alcove. Think of the Grand Canyon, how over the years it has dropped down because of the water levels and it's created a canyon. This is just an itty bitty little minuscule canyon. So there's a above layer and it overhangs like a cliff. So we got underneath the cliff part and just were waiting out the rain. While we were waiting out the rain, a park ranger comes stumbling down the steps in the rain. Poor pitiful little baby, tall skinny park ranger with only a big park ranger hat keeping the rain off of him. I felt so bad for him. But he comes down and he says, "Are any of you Laura?" I was like, "That's me." And he was like, "There's a cop up there and he keeps asking for you. He's really mad. He seems kind of upset. He says he's been looking for you for a while. After the rain stops, if you want to head on up, that'd be great." So apparently this cop had been pestering the poor little park ranger and sent him down to do his dirty work. It's fine, we'll head up as soon as the rain stops because it should blow over soon and we've got all this equipment down here that we don't want to get wet. It was totally understandable, just come up when you get the chance. I was like, okay. So we wait out the rain. I took one of my favorite photos just before we left, and it's in front of the water, and it's of our Captain Hook, and his hair is touched by the humidity, so it's a little wavy, and he's not wearing the coat anymore, and the shot just looks so somber and raw and beautiful. I'll pop it in here. Absolutely one of my favorite photos from the whole photo shoot. So once I snap that, we head on up. Me and the Captain Hook walk together, and I've actually taken a couple more pictures on the way up. You know, just taking my time, not really knowing what's going on, thinking that this cop has had our car called in or something. No idea. So I head on up. We finally get there, and Peter Pan is leading the brigade. My friends Carrie and Daniel are already up at the top. They went running as soon as the rain started, so they were in their vehicle, and my friend Michelle was supposed to be waiting at the top. The male mermaid and his makeup artist had already left as the rain started. So coming up the hill, we have Peter Pan leading the brigade, then my mermaid and Tiger Lily, and then me and Captain Hook bringing up the rear. This is where the title of the video comes in. As we are walking up towards the parking lot, we see the cop car over the horizon. My best friend, my sweet Jason, goes barreling towards the cop, and the cop says, "Are you Peter Pan?" All seriousness, the most serious face I've ever seen, with so much built up anger in him. Legit asked, "Are you Peter Pan?" Shaking his finger at my best friend. And not a single one of us kept a straight face. So this is where the memory is a little fuzzy for me. I don't remember who went with who. I don't remember much of anything as far as the vehicles are concerned. And I do know that somehow Caroline ended up at my house before me. I'm almost certain the Tiger Lily got a ride home with the mermaid Carrie and the other pirate Daniel. I'm almost positive that's how that situation worked. My friend Michelle was there, and we had to explain everything to her. She actually helped us carry stuff up. Now it's just me, Michelle, Peter Pan, and Captain Hook in her vehicle. The cop says, "Are you Peter Pan?" Full seriousness. Jason, after he finishes laughing, says, "Yeah." And he's like, "I've been looking for you all day long. The woman said that there was a Peter Pan that was being rude on the side of the road. It was an accident, and you left the scene of the accident." And then he looks at me, and he says, "Are you Laura?" I was like, "Well, yes, I am." And he says, "Well, you need to come back to that service station right now. You need to come back to where you left the car." I was like, "Okay." He asked how we got up there. We explained. And then we had to get Michelle to take us to the service station. So Caroline is a magical creature, and I don't know how she actually ended up at my house before me, but she did. We're not to my house yet. We are to the service station, because when we drove there, my grandfather and grandmother were waiting in the vehicle for us. They were parked at the service station, and the wrecked car had vanished. Poof, no more car. Where'd it go? I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. Apparently, they'd been looking for me all day for something. You know, maybe the girl that's had a concussion shouldn't be the one doing a story time about something that happened like 7 years ago, but we're gonna keep going. This is my memory of everything. By the way, everyone has their own little memory of what happened, and if you guys really like this story, maybe I'll bring everyone back in and get their individual stories about it, because every single person, even people that weren't there, have different views of what happened. In the car with my grandfather for a minute. Jason, Peter Pan, is freezing because he's gotten wet from the rain. The Captain Hook decides that he's going to take his shirt off and get a t-shirt that he had brought with him. So he puts a t-shirt on and hands my Peter Pan Captain Hook's shirt, which is by all accounts adorable on any other platform but this one. But with this one, it's just like he's about to freeze to death. His teeth are chattering. He just needs something to wear. So that was sorted out. My grandfather gets out of the car. He starts talking with the officer, and then he comes to the car and says, "Come talk to us." So we discuss what happened. I tell the story. There's been huge miscommunications. The officer tells me that I've fled the scene of an accident and I've caused damage to property, even though it was a little mud spill on the side of the road, and a couple of other things. And he had already told my mother that I was coming down the road with felonies. Everything's discussed. He writes me a ticket. That's all he does. He writes me a ticket. He doesn't give me the felonies that he threatened my mother with. He just sends me down the road with the ticket. And I don't remember what the ticket was even for. I don't. I honestly do not remember what the ticket said. I don't know what kept the Captain Hook and Peter Pan from getting out of the vehicle, because they both were in protect me mode. And actually, the Captain Hook did jump out of the vehicle when the discussion was finished, and as we were turning back to go to the car, the Captain Hook jumps out of the vehicle and gives me his coat. So he thinks maybe I'm cold too, because I've also been out in the rain. I was so nervous, but actually also pretty calm. Like, it was a mixture of things. I was nervous because I'm nervous around people, but I was calm because I knew I hadn't done anything actually wrong. Yes, I had wrecked a vehicle, but in my family's personal property, I didn't really mess up anything but the grass on the side of the road. So nothing else was damaged, and the whole reason anyone ever got involved was because of the woman that drove by and was just being nosy instead of actually caring if we were all right or not. Once this huge misunderstanding is cleared up and put into a tight little ball, Michelle leaves, and we get into my grandfather's car. So it's the three of us in the back seat, and they're in the front seat. And we discuss what happened, and it's all cleared up. Nobody's mad. Nobody's upset. It's fine. Accidents happen. This was just a really exaggerated accident, but accidents happen. They had been hunting me down all day long. The whole time we were at this photo shoot, they had been hunting for me, and they had been looking for Peter Pan. So when I finally get home, my mother is still very upset because no one has told her that everything's fine. No one has told her what actually happened. She just knows that when I left the house, she told me to be careful. And basically, she knows that I shouldn't be getting into trouble, and I did. And this officer had told her I was coming home with all sorts of charges that he didn't charge me with. So that's all in her brain, and no one has told her differently. So what happened to the car? Well, that's where my mother comes in. She actually had rode up there too, and she rode back with the tow truck driver with all the things in her brain saying, my daughter's going to be a criminal. Happily, I come through the door, and she's screaming, of course. My friends are very concerned because she's not the kind of person to scream, but she thinks that I've ruined my life at this point. She doesn't know what's happened. She just knows that the cop threatened all these things. So she's upset. My friends have never seen her upset. It's a big thing. Caroline looks absolutely mortified, and somehow she's magically there, but I don't remember how she got there because it's all such a big blur. But it all got sorted out. It all got sorted out, and we ordered pizza, and everything was fine. That story goes down in the history of my friend group, and "Are you Peter Pan?" has become a catchphrase of sorts. Anytime we recall any kind of photo shoot, anytime we recall any kind of thing with my driving, just any kind of absolutely anything that could connect to that story, we get to that story. And everyone that we know has heard this story at some point because we all tell it. The final detail that you guys probably really want to know is, did you get charged? No. I don't know what happened, but we called about the ticket and they said, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's been taken care of. You don't have to show up to court. You don't have to pay a fine. You're good. I was like, okay, thanks, bye. Totally relieved. So happy. So happy, because deep down, I knew I had done nothing wrong. Everyone around me was telling me I had done nothing wrong. But that one cop thought I had done something wrong. And that scared me. So that was me telling the story about how my best friend is Peter Pan. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye.